social selling workshop, profile posting, and then the process to profit. So I'm not too sure what type of business or what type of role you currently have. I'm not too sure what it is that you do. I have no context to this, but what I would love to know for me, could I get a little bit of an introduction from you to me? Can I have a little bit of an understanding of kind of what it is that you do? And the reason I ask that is because if you've been to one of my workshops before, you'll know that although I talk about similar things, I will make sure that they are tailored to whoever it is that's attending them. And this session, like in its, I guess, real basic nature, is all around the fundamentals of LinkedIn. But the way I make this powerful is by giving you examples that bring it to life. And so if I know that, as an example here, Donna's put life coach in the chat box, I can make sure that I can focus in on speaking about coaching and consulting and how we can go about doing it that way. If Emma's here's put health and safety in HR, I can focus it in on that. Marianne's actually put outreach team for renewable energy company. I can focus it in on a salesperson's role. And so the more information that I have on you, the more powerful this workshop becomes from you as somebody that's here watching it. So the more I ask, if you could just make sure you pop the answers into the chat box for me, because it helps me give you the detail that you're after. So phasing copywriting, we've got operations and marketing manager, great, IT sales outreach, pet skincare brand, amazing. You've got an SDR that's here as well. Okay, cool. So a good variety of people. Fantastic. I appreciate that a lot. So I don't spend very much time talking about me on these sorts of workshops. And I mean, out of interest, for those of you that are here, who's here for the first time to one of my workshops? If you're here for the first time, can you put the number 1 in the chat for me? If you're here and you're a repeat offender, you've been here more than once, pop the number 2 in there for me so I can kind of see who the people that keep returning are. So Sharon and Faye, 2s, Tony's a 2 as well. So lots of 2s coming through. Charlie, Yolanda, Yvonne, Nicola, Christine, Martin, Emma, welcome. Good to have you on board for the first time. Now, for you first timers, the number 2s will back me up on this. I don't spend very much time talking about me. Right? Those bullet points on there are for you to read. I've been doing and working with the Social Selling Suite and the Social Selling Suite company for I've just come over my 3rd year. Prior to that, I had agency experience. So I ran my own marketing agency. And then I had a property investment company prior to that as well. And every single step along the way, my brand has really been built. I've got over, I think, around 200,000 followers across all platforms at the moment. And it's been built purely from documenting my journey. So I talk about a number of different things on my social media accounts, my personal life, my business life, some stuff I like to share, some stuff I don't. But if you aren't connected to me on LinkedIn currently, come and scan that QR code. If you're on your phone right now, then don't bother, right? You could just type my name in onto LinkedIn after this. But if you're attending on a computer right now or a laptop, if you scan that QR code, if you're connected to me, then just drop me a message. Send me a direct message saying workshop. Just let me know that you're here. And if we aren't connected currently, press the 3 dots on my profile and press connect. Don't press follow, press connect. And then send me in a message that says workshop as well. What I do is a kind of like a thank you for showing up is I'll run like a little bit of a brief audit. I choose 5 of you and I run a brief audit completely free. I'll tell you what you're doing well on your LinkedIn account, where you can improve, and also what I would carry on doing. So if we are connected already, just drop me a message saying workshop. If we're not, send me a connection request and send me the message workshop and I'll make sure I do it. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you after this. You'll see all of my content on there. It's kind of been, if you ever get bored enough and you want to scroll back, feel free. But you'll see me talking about all the different businesses that I've been a part of over my time. Now, with this session today, the title kind of gave it away, but there's 3 things that we're going to be looking at together. The first thing is your profile. Now, I'm going to say this really bluntly. I never claim to be a LinkedIn expert, right? That is not what I'm about. What I use LinkedIn for is to generate leads and sales, and have done for the last few years for the businesses that I've been a part of and the customers that I've worked with. And so the information that I'm going to be sharing with you in this session is linked directly to lead generation and revenue generation rather than how to generate and build a following that's got 1 million followers and generating millions of impressions. I mean, I can teach you how to get 1.7 million impressions over 365 days, but I can't teach you how to get that in a week. What I can teach you is how we turn that, all of the activity that we do, and we turn it into revenue. For those of you that are owning your own businesses, this whole presentation will be relevant directly to you. For those of you that are in employed roles right now, so salespeople, marketing people, you will have stuff that you can do directly that you have the responsibility for in your roles, but you won't be able to do some of it because that will lie with another part of the business. So if you're in marketing, the sales part of it may lie with the sales team. So that bit won't be directly relevant to you, but maybe you can send them the replay of this and tell them what they need to watch to be able to help improve their side, and vice versa. And so with today, I'm going to be talking to you about profile. Now, everyone's profile should have a few things on it that's going to help your business thrive, right? Whoever you're working for, or if it's your own company. The second part to it then is content. So there are different types of content that you can be putting out there that's going to have different impacts and different results. I'm going to be sharing with you what we do as a business and what we teach that enables us to be able to get attention and then also nurture that attention to the point where someone becomes a lead and then a customer. I'm then going to be taking you through the process to profit. So how do you take a connection on LinkedIn and proactively turn them into a customer? So I'm going to be taking you through all of that today, profile posting and the process. Now, for those of you that have been to my workshop before, I wouldn't have covered this in a lot of detail previously, but is that kind of what you expected from today? I just wanted to make sure that because of the way that I've promoted this, can you just give me a yes if that's kind of sounds good and kind of what you're after? Good. Now, if there's anything else that you want to know, again, Q&A section, pop the questions in there and I will then give it to you at the end. I'm hoping that that's kind of fair enough. So that's perfect. I appreciate all the feedback. That's amazing. It sounds like I'm on the right track, which is good. So part one is all around profile. Now, profile doesn't just mean LinkedIn profile. I need to make this really clear. It's also about your own positioning, whether you're inside of a company or you own your own business. And it all starts with, no matter who you are and where you're at, your LinkedIn accounts, if we think of LinkedIn in isolation, you have control to build an audience on it. And I encourage everyone to do it because the more people that know what you do, the more opportunities going to come your way, whether that's a better and improved role or it's more leads, more sales, right? Doesn't matter which camp you're in. But it all starts with us answering that first key question. Who is it that I'm actually looking to follow me and connect with me in the first place? If you don't know this, you kind of get stuck in limbo and therefore aren't able to build the process that's going to help you turn, if you are, let's say you're an SDR right now, help you turn a connection into a lead that you can then build a relationship with. And so the one key thing you need to realize before you even start using these platforms is that the people that you are trying to get the attention of on LinkedIn aren't on the platform to buy or really pay any attention to your products and services. They're just not. And that's why this type of messaging, has anyone received a message like this recently? A blatant pitch and spam, like straight into the inbox. I get maybe 20 to 30 of these every single week. And I sit down, I'm like, how on earth are these people still doing this stuff? This is, for me, has never worked because every single message that I get, I just ignore it, right? I get fed up of these sorts of messages. And it's because people are expecting too much of me too soon, right? They're asking for something which they're just never going to get because the reason why I'm on these platforms is the same as everyone else. I'm on there for my own selfish reasons, or quite simply because I've been distracted because I'm a little bit bored, right? I'm under no illusion that even throughout this workshop today, a lot of you will pick up your phone and do the classic social media switcheroo and scroll through, which is now everyone's got their own little routine. And I'm going to humor myself and ask you, my routine is I jump onto Instagram, I scroll, I jump onto LinkedIn, I scroll, I jump onto Facebook in that order every single time. So I've got my iPhone, my fingers literally go in that order every time. Does anyone else have this, or is it just me being a weirdo? Can I just get a yes or a no? Is this you? If it is, it's a yes. If this isn't you, pop it as a no. But I'm a weirdo where it comes to Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, literally all the time. And there are lots of people, and again, it's good. There's a few of you that disagree with, which is totally fine. But whether it's Faye, Andrew, Zoo, whether it's Balaji, Penny, Charlie, who's the same order, there are lots of people on here today that have the same scroll, and therefore we need to understand the behavior of the target market that we're trying to address. When you know this and you know the mentality of the target market and the people you're trying to get the attention of, you can start doing things differently and start to actually build relationships in a way that they enjoy it being done. And this stuff is paramount to your overall success. When you understand this and start putting this into process, you'll start to see the leads that you're after. And so the first step to your whole targeting approach, right, to your whole profile strategy is to work out who you're looking to target and then identifying the answers to two things. Number one is, are they even active on the platform in the first place? So when people build their LinkedIn networks, right? So if you're an SDR, a business owner, whatever you are, when you start to build your LinkedIn networks, most people go out there and they just press connect. Now, the issue with just pressing connect is that you can only send 100, and if you're a really active account, you can send a maximum of 200 network invitations a week. So you can build your audience. Typically, you'll get a 50% acceptance rate. Like that's the target and the benchmark that we set everybody. So if you can send 100 a week, right? So the minimum you'll be able to spend, that is correct. The minimum is 100 a week. And so the minimum that you should be expecting to grow by is 50 new connections a week. That's 200 in a month. Now, that is only the case if you are sending those connection requests to people that are even active enough to accept the invitation in the first place. What lots of people do is they send these invitations out to people and they don't check the profile first. So check the profile and just go have a look. Scroll down slightly and you'll then see where it says whether they've posted or they've commented recently. What I always do is if they've not posted or commented in the last 7 days, I don't send the connection request because they're not on it frequently enough for me to be able to build the relationship that I need to. The second thing then is, do they have an interest in what it is that I'm going to talk about? So this is another thing. Most people are connecting with people that are dream clients, but then those people are never going to engage. And has anyone ever felt a little bit frustrated about when they put content out there, they're not getting the right people engaging? Has anyone ever felt frustrated about that before? Is that you're spending all this time creating this stuff, but not getting the attention that you feel like that you should be getting? It's very, very common. I hear it all the time. Now, the reason being is because of the way that this algorithm works, and also because the way that you're building your networks, the people that are in your audiences right now don't have an interest in what you're talking about. So to give you an example, if I am selling one of the people on here, let's have a little scroll up. What did I see on here? So health and safety HR. So Emma Taylor. I'm not going to say that I'm on LinkedIn, right, to learn about HR and health and safety. And so if you're posting HR and health and safety content, I can imagine a lot of your customers, unless they are health and safety people, probably don't have an interest. And therefore, if you're posting about it, probably aren't going to engage in it. People that would be interested are health and safety people, HR people, right? The people that are actually doing the job and therefore you are proactively going to help them. And so rather than, let's say, I don't know your strategy, right? But if I was to create one and you were trying to go after founders or CEOs or MDs, to post health and safety content and then add those people to your audience, the content is pretty much, the algorithm will kill it before it even gets seen. It won't even show in their news feeds, because if they've never liked anything like that in the past, it's not going to present that to them ever. Because all LinkedIn wants is people to stay on their platforms for longer and stay engaged for longer. So with these MDs, CEOs, whoever it is that you're trying to contact, they will have natural interests. They will have things that they are engaging with. So LinkedIn's going to feed that to them. If that isn't health and safety and HR content, your post has to go extremely viral to be able to get it in front of those people. And I find that 9 times out of 10, trying to do that is harder than the lots of other ways that you can actually get your content seen by the right people. So you build your audience up instead with people that have got an interest and that will engage, because the more engagement that you get, the more LinkedIn looks at your account and goes, I'm going to start showing this to more people. Now, the logic behind it is HR, health and safety people, just as this example, they will naturally have founders, CEOs, C-suite, all the people that you're trying to get in contact with in their audiences. And here's the big thing. Has anyone ever noticed on LinkedIn that in the newsfeed, content is shown to you from people that you're not actually following and connected to? Has anyone ever seen that before? Give me a yes in the chat if you've seen content from people that you're not actually connected to or following. Like lots of yeses coming through. Faye, Nicola, thank you. Donna, thank you very much. Like lots of people do. The reason being is the way that this algorithm works is, if I was to engage with, Mariana's just said yes on there, right? So if I was to engage with Mariana's content, what that would do is that then tells all of my first degree connect, well, not all of them, a percentage of my first degree connections, my top fans, there are lots of founders, lots of MDs that are in there. It tells them that I've engaged with it, whether reacted to it or commented on it. And so with that, then me engaging with it then gives you more reach. And so therefore, if you build the audience right, you can then post the right content to feed that audience right. You therefore get the right exposure. So audience and message have to go in hand for your profiles to perform. And when it comes to your product and service, it's the same thing. Like with your profile, you need to make sure that it is updated, right? You need to make sure that it's got your experience on there. You need to make sure that your about section is written properly. There are lots of things that you need to look at to make sure that your products and services are mentioned, whether you're a founder or you're a salesperson. But what I find a lot of the time is that, and again, this is where what I mentioned at the beginning comes into play. Some of you won't have the responsibility or the power to be able to change the way that your product and service is sold. Right. So if that is you, you need to put this information to one side. But for all of you founders and business owners out there, what I see online a lot is a huge, huge issue of businesses trying to sell a certain offer on their profiles to an audience that either don't want it, don't understand it. So again, when you're putting features and benefits out there that mean nothing to them, they don't understand it and therefore would never buy it. Or 3, which is the one that I see is most common, aren't interested in you currently. So you've not earned the right to sell to them. And therefore what's happening is, because you're trying to go in for the kill too early, or the opposite, you're sitting there waiting for them to come to you, you're leaving opportunity on the table because the service isn't positioned in the right way. And I tell you this, when you get this offer right, with your product and service right, and you get that on your profile written in the right way, and you can check my profile out for examples of how to do this, you start to see big opportunity. And I saw this back in 2020. I used to sell a 2-day Instagram masterclass. That was one of the trainings that I used to run. They were £500 a ticket, and I used to struggle to fill like 8 people in a room. And this was because I was selling the wrong offer. People couldn't give me 2 days. It was too long. And also, Instagram was too vague. Like, people didn't want to just come and learn how to use Instagram. They wanted to generate revenue from Instagram, or they wanted to build an audience and build a following, right? This is just common sense. And so in February, remember in March, what happened? The whole pandemic hit. In March, I had to switch because I couldn't run. So I was forced to do this. I couldn't run in-person events. I wasn't thinking about doing it. I was forced to. And I just thought, I'd just change the way, because I don't want to deliver this over 2 days anymore. I'm going to deliver it online. I'm going to deliver it over 30 days. And I changed the title just of the offer here. All it was just change the title from a 2-day program to 1,000 followers in 30 days challenge. It was £500 for 2 days. It was £300 for the challenge. And by changing this, I saw a huge increase in sales almost immediately. I used to struggle to sell £4,000 worth of business, right? By making this one change, the rest of my marketing stayed the same. In April, we did 25 grand in sales. And you can see like how we sold this on LinkedIn was we got it on my profile, right? We ran a couple of workshops like this, and the spikes were over a couple of days where we had an influx of those sales because suddenly my audience were warm because I'd built them up over a period of time and I had an offer that they finally wanted. And on your profiles, you need to make sure that it's updated with the right offers. What we then have are the 16 different elements to your profile. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you by going through every single bit of the 16, but I am going to talk to you about some of the most important bits because you've got to make sure that when you've got that offer in your audience right and you've got that understanding, you've got to make sure that your profile stands out. And this is where you've got to take a step back and be honest with yourself and ask yourself the question, if you looked at your profile right now, there's 2 questions actually. Would you buy from you? Do you appear credible enough to buy from you right now? And 2, is it clear how to? With those 2 questions, can anyone be honest enough? No one else can see your answers, right, people? So can you all be honest? Who thinks they have some work to do on their profile? Can I get a yes? Or for those of you that think it's perfect right now, put a no. And I will also then take note of all the answers that are coming through and make sure that I check them out as well. So work to do for the majority, which is great. Actually all so far, which is great. So we know there's some changes to do. Now I'm going to give you some things to look at. Number 1 is your headline. So this headline here is the first thing that people see. So whenever you leave a comment, whenever you put a comment out, you'll notice that this headline follows you everywhere. And so simplicity, I find, wins when it comes to this. And you want to give people a reason to follow you. Now, can anyone notice here why somebody would follow me in the first place? There's something quite significant that I've added. And I'd like to see if anyone could pick up on it. It's the reason to follow me. Because understanding this enables you to be able to amend it on your profiles and do it in the right way. I'll give people about 20 seconds to be able to come back to give their answer. And for anyone that answers this correctly, I'm going to give them a 30-minute one-to-one strategy call with me. So if there's a reason, right, why, Penny Bramwell-Jones has already got it straight away. Right, so Penny, you have one. If you drop me a message on LinkedIn, I'm going to give you a 30-minute one-to-one call with me and we'll talk through your strategy. Right, so it's the warning. I share my thoughts on social selling, businesses, and things that motivate me. That is the reason why people will come back to my profile. They will follow me. I know that because I've been told that. Some of you, right, with this, the thousands of businesses to grow, that's a credibility statement, right? That is me sharing like what I've done and where I've been and what I've accomplished. But the warning word grabs people's attention. I've had that fed back. And I've also had so many times now, like when I ask people why they follow me, it's because like you've told me on your profile that you're going to give me like the social selling business and things that motivate me piece. That's what I want. That's what I want. And so with it, you need to make sure that your headlines are crafted in a way that's going to stand out in the newsfeed when you're commenting and also in your content when it starts to trend. Profile photos, I always recommend, I mean, this is really, really simple stuff here, but just a simple smiley photo. One of the things that always drives you mad is someone who looks miserable in their photo. Like you want to, if you're in a networking event and there was somebody with a real frown on their face, like literally sitting down, you probably wouldn't approach them. It's the same thing online. Smiley face always means more approachable, and therefore you've got a high likelihood of being accepted. Really important. You've then got your header image. So for me, I like simplicity when it comes to header image. And with our new website, I spent a fortune on this domain, right? Socialselling.co.uk is ours, right? We've bought this. And with it, I want to try and drive as much traffic to it as possible. So I want it in the center of attention So when we launch, people will always get notified of it. And on my profile, that's what they see. And on my profile, that's what they see. Okay, socialselling.co.uk, bang, it's in their face. Now, you don't have to do it in the same way that I do, but what I would say is have a think about for your business, whether you're working for someone or you have your own company, think about what is it that I want people to remember about me every single time they think of me. For me, it's Chris Taylor social selling, Chris Taylor social selling, Chris Taylor social every single time, right? So make that really clear, get it updated if it isn't updated already. The worst thing that you can do is leave potential advertising space blank. So if it's blank, you need to update it. You then have your featured section. And with the featured section, I would always include, I'm going to be sharing with you the process to convert this very, very shortly. So this will make a bit more sense. But this terminology is what I would include, no matter what position you're in. Lead magnets that help build your email list. These are things that you should definitely have in place. Links to your best content that's available, so your best performing content that's available. And also, if there's any like high performing videos of you or documents that you think are going to add lots of value, again, have that embedded in your featured section, because that is exclusive content that is flagged at the top of your profile. The two other areas to look at are your about section. Now, the about section, if you just go and look at mine, you can see the way that it's laid out. It's very, very simple. All you've got to do is just amend that about section in the same format so it reflects what you do. The bit that lots of people miss, and this is people do look in this area, is your recommendations. So if you've ever done any work with someone and you've not got a review or anything from them, go and ask them for a LinkedIn recommendation and then maybe give them, so you can give one as some, like, so let's say they were a client of yours, they can give you one as a supplier, but you can give them one as how they acted as a client. And so you can trade recommendations. And the more recommendations that you've got, one, we don't know this like in terms of the most latest update, but a couple of years ago, we had a person from LinkedIn confirm that the more recommendations and the more endorsements that you've got, the more your profile ranks when it comes to search. And so that's why we had a massive influx of trying to get as many recommendations as we can, because it helps build the credibility, right? So you've got recommendations, header image, featured image, about section, headline, profile photo is your core, like most important parts. The other bit that I would add is the obvious one of contact information. Now, before I move on, does that make sense? Can I just get a yes, or if you've got any questions on it, pop it in the Q&A, I'll come to it. Does that all make sense? Nice and clear, nice and simple, straightforward stuff. Good, it does. Fantastic stuff. Perfect. So part one of profile, I'm not here to give you like the 16 elements because I would literally bore you to tears. I want to give you the stuff that's going to make the biggest difference. And with your profile, it's just getting it. So if you looked at it as your dream client, you'd know exactly who you are and what you do. You know exactly why to follow you. And with it, they'd be incentivized to follow you. Like, that's your big thing. We now move on to posting. So how many of you are currently posting like once a week on LinkedIn right now at this current point in time? Because I think this is just important for me to understand. So Nicola is I try. Mariana is one. Okay, Mariana, yes, it is once or twice a week, 2 times per week. So Balaji's not posting any at the moment. Kat's posting 3 times. Ian's not posting very much at all. Tam's in twice. Okay, so we've got a bit of variety, but the answer for the apart from Terry, everyone is kind of like once or twice a week. Now, I'm not here to say that you need to start posting every single day, because the reality is you've got lots of other things that you can be doing that are probably going to give you a better return than content. But if content is what you want to know about, content is what I'm going to teach you. And on my account, as a minimum, it's 4 times a week, because otherwise my profile never ranks high enough for my content to be seen by the right people. And I was only explaining kind of like the basics of the algorithm very, very briefly earlier to a client of ours. And there's 3 different types of content that I'm going to be sharing with you on this. But before I go into them, I want to give you some insights into the algorithm, because when you understand how this works, you can start to capitalize on it. So the first thing that we need to realize is the more touch points, so the more times somebody engages on a piece of content of ours, the more times someone visits our profile, the more times someone responds to a message, the more likely it is for our content to show up to them. And therefore, the more likely it's going to show up to them, the more likely they are to become a lead and then a customer. The thing around the algorithm is the impact of dwell time. So dwell time is actually how the algorithm responds. It's got nothing to do with engagement. It's to do with how much time people spend reading and engaging with your content. That is why in some of your pieces, if you've ever had a high performing piece, sometimes it's not the content that's got the most comments or got the most likes. It's actually got nothing to do with that. They're just really signals that time has been spent. So if someone has liked it, you probably think that they've read it. If someone has commented on it, you think they've probably spent more time on your post than someone that's just liked it. So there's signals of dwell time. And the more time that someone spends on your content, the further it then gets pushed. And as you start to progress through it, you can then create an effective content strategy off the back of it. So the 3 types of content. The first type is connection type of content. So connection type of content is what you do a lot of the time on LinkedIn. This is the primary content type that you will be doing to build an audience, to get your content seen. This is how you get the algorithm to spike and start giving you more impressions. The second type then is control. So this is how you start to nurture your audience, start to build your credibility, start to move them through the process. And then the third is conversion. So how you move a connection through to a customer. Content plays a part in all of this. Now, in terms of connection type of content, now people get a little bit frustrated on platforms like LinkedIn because they spend lots of time creating educational content. Now, who thinks that education content, this isn't a trick question, I'm not here to make anyone feel bad at all whatsoever, but who here thinks that education content is the sort of content that you should be posting more often than not? Just give me a yes in the chat if that's you. If it's a no, pop a no in there. Totally fine either way. It doesn't matter what you think. The majority of people believe that it is. And it looks like here there's a few people that are on the no side. I'm actually in the no side, to be fair. A lot of the time, I don't post about work. And some people get a little bit frustrated at that because they think LinkedIn's a professional platform. Now, the issue is that LinkedIn is becoming more like Facebook by the day, and the algorithm, therefore, is feeding it what the users want. That's all these social media platforms are doing. They are growing based on their own user behavior because the more they can feed user behavior, the more users are going to stay on it for longer. If any of this doesn't make sense, by the way, just pop your hand up or pop a question in the Q&A and I'll make sure I come to it. But this type of content that you can see on screen now are some of my best performing posts of the last few months, right? And again, they're not getting hundreds of thousands, but again, you can see here, one was about a bit of charity stuff that I did. So again, we raise puppies for a charity called Support Dogs, something that my fiance did before we met, and we've carried on doing it together before we went traveling this year or last year. I've also got stories of what's happened when what I've seen witnessing a manager hammer a waitress right in front of us, like shouting her and screaming her. That was a story that I told. These were lessons that I learned. So this maybe is probably as close to education that we get. But the reason why this content needs to form part of your content chat, and what I mean by this content is talking about the type of content that's going to get the most impact, which is news jacket. So talking the quickest way to win online is to talk about the stuff, whether it's in your industry or just in the world, that's going on in the news, right? Can anyone think, I'm going to open the chat box here so everybody can talk to each other just temporarily, right? And I want you, when you send the answer to this question, can you change your answer on Zoom so it sends it to everyone? Who can think of something that's going on in the news right now that they could talk about, which other people might be interested in? I'm going to give you one, and I want everyone else to add something in there for it. So here we can see. So I put Donald Trump getting into office. So on Monday, he gets whatever the word is, he becomes president. You've got inflation, AI, education policy, LA fire coming in. And what happens is, and this is why I wanted to give you this example. We've all got here, there's a few people that have given the same answer. And so that should be a topic that you should be finding an opinion on and sharing, because Penny's put Andrew Tate, great answer. Very, very polarizing character, isn't he? But with this is what we teach inside of our academy all the time, is that it doesn't matter. And there was a guy on our Q&A the other day, and we were having a debate on this. He would spend an hour putting together a value-based post, right? Something that he thinks his dream clients really need it, full of education, full of advice. And when he puts it out there, right, he'll get very little comments, 4 or 5 seconds maybe of someone reading it and then scrolls past. Now, bearing in mind, I've just told you this algorithm is based on dwell time. So the longer someone spends on your piece of content, the further it will push it. If you are not getting 1,000 impressions or more every single time, you have work to do. That is the minimum anybody should be getting on this platform. The reason why my content wins and this individual's wasn't was because I can put a post out there about a lady being shouted at, and where someone's spending 5 seconds reading his, I'm getting someone spending 2 hours on mine, commenting back and forth all the time. And so let's say I've got a CEO. If you look in this post here on my profile, I had loads of CEOs commenting. Let's say you were that person that wanted a CEO commenting. If you put out that high value ad, that's never going to be seen by him because it's not going to get, or her, it's not going to get the impressions needed to get in their newsfeed. Whereas mine, I've got loads of people going back and forth. I've even got them now going back and forth in the comments. So the next time, if I do enough of these pieces of content and get that person engaging on my content because it's highly topical, they've got an opinion on it, they're really, really, like, they keep coming back at me in the comment section. When I then put out something that's high value, education, maybe a lead magnet, because they've spent so much time engaging in my content, guess whose high value piece is going to show up in their newsfeed because I've earned the right? Does everyone understand that? Can I get kind of, this is a really important, can I get a yes in the chat if suddenly that makes sense to you? This is why this sort of content plays such an important part and why we need to include it in a content strategy. Because if you don't, you're never going to earn the loyalty points in the newsfeed to show up in your ideal client's newsfeed because they're already commenting and engaging with other people. So when they post, their content's just going to outperform yours. This stuff is really, really important to realize. If someone's spending 2 hours to repeat it for you, someone's spending 2 hours and versus someone that's spending 5 seconds, the person that's getting 2 hours spent on their content commenting back and forth because of this stuff, the next post that you do is more likely to show in that 2 hours time commenters newsfeed than someone that spent 4 or 5 seconds. And so when you're creating, utilize the news to be able to drive your impressions up, because guess what? Everyone's got an opinion on the news. And a lady that did this, who is part of our academy at the moment, she's part of our £50 a month academy, where we teach all of this stuff, is Philippa Nicholson. And she was speaking about ADHD. Now, does everyone else agree? Like, ADHD is something that is quite a popular topic. It's something that lots of people talk about and people have got opinions on. Can I get a yes or a no in the chat? That's something that you believe also, right? It is. I see it all the time. And when Philippa did this, and she wrote it in the right structure that we went through with her, she got 458,000 impressions. Her followers went up from 7,000 to 7,600. She had 32 messages of people wanting to work with her, candidates and clients. She's a recruitment consultant, by the way. Now, I've been invited to be a guest on a podcast, 50 messages thanking me, and 5 bespoke package proposals going out this week. Thank you so much for the support. Blah, 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 blah. All right. This stuff happens when you start playing the content game properly. This is my fiance Zoe here, right? She's got 900 followers, right? 900 followers. That's all she's got on her account. She was able to reach 130,000 people when she was active on this platform. Her profile was optimized in the right way. We went through and optimized it. 130,000 impressions. And when you get content seen by the right people and it's interesting, that's where she got 2 inquiries through. Just watch a short video. I'm intrigued to know more. I have considerable experience with dogs and considering investment opportunities. The right content strategy gets the right amount of reach, which gets the eyeballs to your profile, and then your profile does the work. That's connection content. That's how connection content works. We then have control content, and control content you can see here. This is quite simply, I'm not going to go into this in too much detail because it's connection where you need to focus first, but control is where you move people off of the LinkedIn newsfeed to your email list. And so you do that by giving people something for free, which we call a lead magnet, something that magnetizes leads. They will give you their email address, you will give them the resource. When you have the right lead magnets, you can see here 122 comments, here 146 comments, here 99 comments. You get lots of people commenting, 602, 275 for the stuff that you're giving away. When you do this, that's where you'll start to see the revenue coming through. This is a big bit that people miss and a big bit that we teach. We then have conversion. So the big bit that most people forget is that to be able to drive sales, you need to have opportunities for people to find out what it is that you do. There are lots of ways in which you do that. I do that a lot through discovery calls and clarity calls. So I run a process which basically gets people to, I ask them questions, they give me information that allows me then to put a proposal in front of them. That's a step-by-step process that can be begun and results being seen within a week. The clarity call process is very, very simple and anyone can do it. I then run workshops and webinars like this. I also do audits for people. For those of you that have commented the word workshop, I'm going to give you a Loom audit. And the Loom audit is then going to give you the option to be able to then, whether you come and maybe buy some consulting from us or maybe buy some training from us. But the Loom audit is going to give you enough value to showcase to you that we know what we're talking about and we know how to get you better results. Connection, control, conversion, content, right? Debbie, we want a big client who has signed up to a 12-month ongoing contract from the back of one of my LinkedIn posts. That was a conversion piece of content. In my opinion, though, with content, again, 2 to 3 pieces a week is more than enough to begin with. So you can focus in on doing the process part to this. And this is what has allowed me to do what I've done over the last year. Like we built a monthly recurring revenue model, which is what I encourage lots of people to do. And when it comes to lead generation, like now, I could stop posting for weeks and our business would still grow because of the direct messaging that we do and also because of the email list that we have built. 85% of this process that we teach, you can automate whenever you're ready, like 85% of it. But it's the next part of today's session that you need to understand if you want to succeed right now. And that was how we had the year that we had last year. And I'm not going to leave that on the screen too much, right? But I'm not here to do that. But that's how we've got consistent revenue every single week. And it's the process to profit. There's 2 ways to generate business from LinkedIn, right? Number 1 is inbound. Number 2 is outbound. So everyone heard this terminology before. Can you give me a yes if you've heard this terminology before? Inbound and outbound, very, very straightforward stuff. Now, inbound happens when you have a pro. So this is where leads come to you, right? So you put out content, you maybe have a website out there, you have resources out there, you've got the product, you've got the audience, you've got the offer, you've got all that nailed, you have a marketing message. You start doing this. So this is the process that we teach. And inbound happens when you've got a process like this in place and it encourages more and more people to look at your profile and go, this person knows what they're talking about. I've definitely got that problem because they've now made me problem aware. I need to work with them. So what you need to do is through your content is help people become problem aware. You then invite them to control and conversion content, which then helps them become solution aware. We receive 1 to 2 inbounds a week, but that's genuinely not by chance. And what I find is that people literally just think by showing up online that this happens, and it doesn't. Like if you're just posting photos and text every day, again, you're missing out online because the best way to sell online is by doing something that's really uncomfortable for lots of people, and that's video content. I know lots of people are afraid of it, but again, I used to be terrible on video. I used to be terrible at these. It's just structure and practice. And the best way of being able to sell online in this capacity on social media is by showcasing how much you know and how well you communicate. And if you were to meet someone in person, they'd see you, they'd hear you, they'd start to understand and give you more attention. Video is our best way of doing that online. And so with it, when you start to get the combination of all of this right, just like Matt did, you can see Matt's got 30,000 followers now. He talks about remanufacturing services and refurbishment and repair, 127,000 views on his content. And all of his business came to him inbound. that like thought it was worth sharing some positive news when it comes down to your program. Taken on 18 new customers this month. All have come through LinkedIn. I was really surprised to see my profile views. I've worked to post something each weekday. So inbound is about content, profile optimization, and making sure that you're taking your connections on a journey. Your outbound, though, is what then supports it and makes inbound happen also at the same time. Like there are so many different ways that you can generate business, and I've got more workshops coming up on this where I touch on them. But inside our academy, we teach these like webinars, audits, like the clarity and discovery calls. Every business can run discovery and clarity calls to be able to build relationships properly. Scorecards, meetings, selling in direct messages. Like some of them work better than others, and it takes a bit of effort to get in place. But a lot of these, within a week, you can start to build momentum. And what I need you to think about now is like, if you look at a process, who's currently got for their business or the business that they're a part of, a process that leads a customer, sorry, a connection to a customer? Can I get a yes or a no? If you've got one, put yes. If you haven't, put no. A process that leads a connection to a customer. So a couple of people are in progress. There's quite a few no's coming through, which is fine. Now, if you need help and support with it, or maybe you've got one and it might not be giving you the results, like this is what we do. So I'm not going to sit here and read these testimonials and case studies for you. There's loads of them out there, from virtual assistants to companies the size of MasterCard through to coaches and consultants. Lots of different people have gone through and built this process. We help you become active, but we also help you then generate the conversions that you're after as well. And with some, like, if I was going to give you some advice with it all, the first big bit is stop guessing, because there are answers out there that people are willing to give for you. And like I say, we give it to people for 50 quid a month. There's no contract in place, nothing. It's 50 quid a month. And with that, we will tell you what you're doing wrong and where you can improve. And we'll help you build out that journey properly and show you how you can share experiences that are going to help strangers realize that you're somebody worth working with, in the same way that we did it with George. And George is in property. He's a property investor. My background was in property. So again, we got to know each other through that. And with it, we went through the same process, like profile optimization. You need to do that. We then build out your offer. If you've not got that nailed, we need to do that. We then look at the conversion pieces. George has a strategy call process, the book a call with me. We did a process like that, and we did a webinar process with him as well. We then got his content performing better than it did for me. So his content is now performing better than mine. 95,000, 1.5 million, 1.3 million. And I asked him to send me like a note of his results through. And he raised a shed load of money from the back of the work since November when we were working together. And he also did 60 grand in mentoring sales and consulting sales. Not a bad effort for, again, a membership that is 50 quid a month. And inside it, we focus really into three key things in the first couple of weeks: your offer, your audience, and your conversion process. We'll then teach you the rest in between, but those are the three things that make the biggest difference. And with it, it's not just a training program. Like, it's a step-by-step program that's designed to build a marketing machine and apply what we call compound marketing. So you build something, you then add something to it, you add another thing to it, and then you have layers of different marketing methods that give you leads consistently. We do this for salespeople. So again, we help them build up their pipelines, or we do it for marketers, or we do it for founders. The community is over 250 strong, and each person is building their sales process. We go into depth on the algorithm. We help them really frame their offers properly. We give them tools, templates, scripts, everything that they need to build things at speed. We teach people about buyer psychology. So again, how to get a stranger to like you, but then also want to work with you. And we also teach a lot on automation and AI, because I believe a lot of this stuff can be automated. Our mentoring and consulting is what people pay for. Right? Again, for 50 quid a month, it's kind of ridiculous that we do it to this level. But people go through our training and then they go through and get their stuff looked at. So again, profiles will help you optimize them. And every 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., people come on. Mondays at 12, Thursdays at 2 p.m., they come online. We have about 40 to 50 people on. And on that session, we go through profiles, content, direct messaging. We go through reporting, paid advertising. We go through it all. And we drive you forward. and support you in any way that we can to help make this work for you. And if you don't like it, it's 50 quid plus the VAT a month. And again, if you don't like it, people just leave. But we have such a high retention rate because what we teach is very simple and we get you just to do it, right? We need you to just apply the process. And whenever you're struggling, just like Donna was, you just reach out to us and we'll get onto a call with you inside the group and we'll help you with it to generate the results that she did. 7.5 grand, 45 grand. Most people come to us when they've gone through a barren run. It's what Nick Holt said, a barren run, which prompted me joining forces with P44. This came from my second webinar when he signed a customer. Stephen Baines, 83 actions, 57 comments, 17 new program signups. That's what we're really after. And so with it, today, you have the opportunity to join us. Again, there's no contract. There is a 30-day notice period, just so you're aware. So if you join us there's a 30-day notice period, just because you're going to be importing data that you're going to want to export. But it's £1.67 a day. We are looking to really disrupt this space with this education because there are masterminds out there, online courses out there that people charge thousands of pounds for. And we're in a very fortunate position where we don't need to do that. What we're trying to bring together is a group of businesses that really want to just progress and do the right things well. And we also get together as a community every quarter. So again, the tickets as a member, I think they're like £100, and we do an in-person mastermind day that they come a part of it as well. Now, for the first 5 people that join us, I'm also going to give you, I've already given 1 call away, but I'm going to give another 5 away for the first 5 people that join us. I'm going to go through a 2025 strategy session with you. That's going to be 30 minutes in depth, and we're going to break down exactly what gaps you have and what you need to change. And they will take place either next week or the week after, depending on your availability. And so today, I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope I've given you some insight into some things that you can change, whether you want to join us or not. I'll pop the link in there because someone's asked for it. But was that okay for you today? Can I just get a yes or a thumbs up? I'll go for the Q&A in a second. If you've got things that you want to take, I'm really happy about. That's great, good stuff. That was all I really had for you today. Like, I mean, I was meant to last 40 minutes. It's lasted 55. For those of you that are coming like on board with us, I really look forward to working with you. I'm just going to quickly pop into the Q&A. Let's have a quick look. Do you need to attend both days? Thursday? No, it's not. So all of our sessions are recorded, just so you know. So again, if anyone can't attend them, they're just all recorded so you can watch them in your own time. But yeah, you don't have to attend them both. Attend as many as you possibly can, and that would be really helpful. But again, most people, we've got over 250, we get 40 to 50 live, right? So the rest of the people watch them in the replays, and they're available immediately afterwards, so you can watch them inside of our platform straight away. That is everything that I've got to cover for you. The QR code is there. The link is there for you as well. If you have any final questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. But again, I just wanted to thank you all for your return. All of you have stayed pretty much till the end, which is amazing because I'm conscious that I nearly got close to the finish. But again, thank you so much for coming along today. And yeah, I'm going to be running another workshop. I think it's next Wednesday. That one is going to be focused on AI and automation. So if you want the link to that workshop and that webinar, I'm going to be emailing that out with the replay to this as well. Thank you very, very much for your time and attention. And hopefully I'll see those of you that are coming back next week. For those of you that are joining the community where you'll get a bit more support. Have an amazing day, evening for those of you watching on the replay whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.